Hey book nerds, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sydney and today we have part 2 of the Throne of Glass review. I finally finished the series. It only took me forever because I am a slow reader, and then I finally caved and got Audible and got the audiobook versions of the last few books that are thick. So I'm super excited. I can't wait to share my thoughts with you. And if you like what you see, you like this book review, I'm also going to have a special surprise at the end. I'm super excited about that announcement. So stay tuned, like, comment, subscribe, and I can't wait to discuss this book further with you. So before I dive in, I do want to warn you that this video will be full of spoilers from all facets, specifically the last 4 books, but I will obviously likely pull in spots from the first ones. So if you have not finished this series, especially if you have not read the last 4, but if you have not finished the series at all, this video is not for you. I will be here when you get back. Go finish the series, come back, and we will talk openly. I would absolutely hate to ruin the beauty of the series for you and the twists and the turns and everything that happen at the end, because it is mind blowing. So just click away, pause the video, go finish the books, and then come back and we'll hang out. We can talk all about these books, because believe me, I need someone to talk to about it. So that's just why I'm here. So everyone's gone? You've clicked off? Okay, I would hate to ruin for anyone that has not read it. So if you have not read it and you are still here, caution at your own risk. I've warned you. I've given you like 3 minutes to skedaddle and come back. So this series, I understand why it is a fan favorite among readers of every genre, specifically every fiction genre, of action readers, fantasy readers, romance readers. Don't even get me started on the romance, because SJM does it like nobody else, and we have like 3 or 4, maybe more, romance lines throughout the series that like are mind-blowing and next level. So don't even get me started on the romance. She does it unlike any other. Like, mwah, chef's kiss, Italian hand chef's kiss. Like, this entire story just grips you, and it makes you love the characters but also hate the characters, and the world building. It's done so beautifully. Like, typically when I'm reading, I visualize it, so it's like I can't necessarily quote the book, but I can tell you what happens. Cause I see it like a movie in my head, if that makes any sense to anybody. And like the world building just made that so easy to do. It was phenomenal. And the fact that SJM started writing Throne of Glass at the age of 19, round of applause. She was literally born to write fantasy. I don't know how she does it. What sprinkling of magical pixie dust she threw on it, I don't know. It's phenomenal. I ate it up. It was just magic. And her work speaks for itself, and you can see throughout the books, from Throne of Glass through Kingdom of Ash, how she's grown and improved and has grown up with this story. It's so incredible to watch the evolution of like her writing style and all of that throughout the entire series. So as we dive further into the review, I'll break it down book by book, and I just love this series. So we are going to go ahead and dive on into Queen of Shadows and start the individual books. I'm so excited to talk about all of them. And yeah, let's just dive right on in. So, Queen of Shadows. So, Queen of Shadows was a 5-star read for me. In this book, we see Aelin return to Rifthold to find allies and reclaim her home in Terrasen. During this, Chaol is leading a rebellion. Dorian is locked into a Wyrdstone collar by his own father, and Manon is questioning her loyalties to the Iron Teeth, specifically her grandmother in charge of the Blackbeak clan. By the end of it, Aelin has reclaimed her identity, her former mentor is dead, the king of Adarlan is defeated, and Dorian is free. By the end, I was both happy and heartbroken when we learned the truth about the former king as well as the extent of Chaol's injuries following the blast. I was thankful Chaol did not die, and the king in his core was not evil. He just was possessed by the Vogue. But I was also shattered at the fact that Chaol's life is permanently altered. He is potentially going to be wheelchair bound. How is he going to fight? I know he wants to fight. Like, what is this doing mentally for him and the people who love him? And I didn't know how he was going to recover from it, how he was going to get past that. And then I was also heartbroken for Dorian because his father was actually fighting for him over the course of a decade. He had no idea. He just thought his dad was, you know, the evil overlord and the one controlling the Vogue, when in reality his dad was just one of the Vogue princes doing the bidding of the true Vogue king out of Morath. And Dorian had absolutely zero idea till right before his dad died. And that, I cannot imagine the pain of that. And so the detail SJM put into this book to rip your heart out and put it back together over and over and over again throughout the entire book was next level. And like I said before, you can tell how she has grown with this series through each book individually. So next we will go into the tandem read. I'll give my thoughts on each book individually and wrap it up on that with my thoughts on the tandem methodology as a way to read the next two books. So next we have Empire of Storm and Tower of Dawn. So with Empire of Storms, it follows the lines of Elide, Aelin, Manon, and their cohorts in Rifthold. Aelin, Aiden, Adian. I ended up listening to the audiobook at the end, and I still have some pronunciations that I'm like, this is stuck in my brain. Rowan and others, they're trying to get to Terrasen. Elide is trying to get to Aelin. Manon and her group are starting to rebel against the Blackbeak matron. And Manon essentially has an existential crisis about her purpose and place in the world. She is supposed to be a heartless killer, but she's not. Like, at her core, she is not. But that is what she's been trained to be by her grandmother. And her grandmother will accept nothing less but ruthless, heartless, does not care. This book was packed with so much action. I feel like almost every chapter ended on a cliffhanger because it was just following so many POVs, and then it would like jump to a different POV. And then especially if you're doing the tandem read, it's like you end on a cliffhanger, you go to a different book, you read that book, and then when you go back to Empire of Storms, it's a different POV from there as well, so you have to wait even longer to get back to the original cliffhanger. And it was just a lot. So it was certainly an action-packed novel. There was a lot of fighting and battles and like mind games they had to play and like tricks that they had to play on people to not, but like with the political stuff and with Elide and Lorcan and like tricking people to think that they were a certain like basically circus people when they're not circus people. They were just trying to get to Terrasen and to find Aelin and Celaena, with Elide not realizing they were the same person. Lorcan knew, didn't tell her. That's a different conversation. But it was just so much. It was like so much information of what happened to set up for Kingdom of Ash. I feel like a lot of Kingdom of Ash was set up by Empire of Storms. And it was just, Empire of Storms was phenomenal. And so gave a lot of insight also into internal battles of the characters. I think because SJM did not put the two Tower of Dawn plotline and Empire of Storm plotline together, that would have been a very big, very convoluted book. Because she separated them, you could get a lot of the internal dialogue as well with the characters that each of the books follow. And I definitely appreciated that. Now, the culmination of this book with Aelin being captured by Maeve and how that came about wrecked me. It was basically the culmination of Aelin's self-sacrificial love for her people, loathing for herself, and knowing her capture was a necessary evil for the success of her court. you cannot say that Daylin ever did anything without the thought of her court in mind, especially as the series goes along. Like, you cannot argue that. And it's just a culmination of everything, and it was the only way she could keep the people she loved safe and to keep her court protected. Aelin may not always be great at verbally expressing her love, but her actions will show it more than she could ever verbally say it. This book showcases that better than any of the other ones of, like, actions speak louder than words. And not everybody is a words of affirmation person. Not everybody, like, and she is not. She is not one to verbalize her emotions, but she will show you. She will show you she will care. She will sacrifice herself for anybody, especially if she cares about you. And Empire Storms really highlighted that in a beautiful way. In a beautiful way. And then you also see a lot with Elide and her internal dialogue of her self-loathing and her, because she got fed so many thoughts from her uncle about how she just wasn't really worth it, and how he was treating her and what he was like trying to set her up for was horrendous. And then so she has to like lie to Lorcan, and it's just this whole thing, and then he lies to her about stuff, and it's just a lot. And you see so much character growth for all of them, and you get a lot more of understanding of why they behave the way that they do in Empire Storm. So as the gang is battling Morath, which is in other adversaries, you have Tower of Dawn, which, if you didn't know, Empire Storm and Tower of Dawn happen parallel to each other in the plot line. So they are happening at the exact same time, just in two separate continents. So you have Tower of Dawn, where Chaol and Nezran are going to the southern continent to seek healing at the Tor for Chaol's spinal injury following the battle at the Glass Castle. That basically the Glass Castle exploded. Aelin tried to save him. She saved his life, but did not save him from injury altogether. And he ended up with a terrible spinal cord injury. And so you follow Chaol, Nezran, and Yrene. If you read Assassin's Blade, you should have, you know who Yrene is. She is the aspiring healer from the Assassin's Blade that Aelin helps, and she has made her way to the Tor to study and has become the heir apparent to the healer on high. Chaol and Nezran are traveling to the southern continent to Antica, where the Tor is located, to seek healing for Chaol and his spinal injury following the demolition of the Glass Castle. Nezran is captain of the guard and accompanying him because she's also from Antica and still has family there. She knows the culture, the language, and can help guide Chaol as needed with navigating the people, specifically the royal family, the Cognate. And so Chaol is, while they're there, he is battling his own demons, and that's for the majority of the book, as well as his growing feelings for Yrene. This book definitely focuses on mental health, unlikely love, and personal growth. Chaol, with Irene's help, puts in the pain and suffers through the hard to heal both his mind and body. This book definitely focuses with like the magical healing ability in the healers, that physical and mental healing coincide. And you see it a lot in like the real world, where it's like you have to mentally want it and to physically heal as well. I mean, there are obviously those cases that you can't just manifest that you're gonna walk again, but like they go hand in hand. You have to want to as well. And so he does that to heal both of them. Yrene also has to overcome her disdain for Chaol, who served in the past. Well, overcome the disdain for who Chaol served in the past, and the fact that Chaol served for him, and needs to realize that he's not who he used to be. He doesn't stand for what he used to overlook, and he is not the king that he used to serve. The king he serves now is Dorian, and Dorian is great. He may have served the king, but he's not who he served. Nezran and Chaol are both struggling with their feelings for each other. They want it to be more, but quickly realize their relationship should remain platonic, and they just be best friends. Because Chaol falls for Yrene, and Nezran falls for Prince Sartaq, who also happens to be the Cognate equivalent to the captain of the guard for the Rough Riders. I went into this book thinking Chaol and Nezran were endgame. No, I was wrong. The book also teaches you a lot about Maeve and the Stygian spiders and the Vogue. Tower of Dawn had its fair share of action, but it was mostly an info dump, filling in questions and plot twists about the big bad of the series. So it was very much, they got there, kill. He wanted to be healed, but at the same time, it was like, what's the point? Like, I don't see the point. Irene hated him because he used to serve the King of Adarlan. Nesrin and him, they tried so hard to ignore the fact that they weren't actually meant to be together. That they were just like a quick fling bestie situation, but they were never actually going to work. And then it's because of who they met down there that they absolutely adored and ended up being with Endgame. So that was a very good book. I did enjoy it. It was a lot. There was still action. Like, they still went and fought the southern equivalents of the Stygian spiders. I cannot remember the name of them. They battled. They rode horses. They had to defeat some Vogue. One of the princesses on the southern continent was possessed by a Vogue, and they just had to. But it was a lot more of a mental battle than a physical battle throughout most of that book. So, because Tower of Dawn and Empire of Storms happen simultaneously in the plotline, just in different geographic languages, a lot of people will do what is called the tandem read. So this is literally what it sounds like. You read both books at the same time in a specific order that I don't know who created it, but there's a Google Doc of the order of how you read the tandem read. And some people are staunchly for it, others think it's dumb. I personally think both have their pros and cons, like anything in life. So I like the tandem read because you can see what's happening with the characters as they happen, and then you can also like stay connected to the Tower of Dawn characters versus going through an entire book without them. I can also understand why, after the ending of Empire of Storms, you would want to jump directly into Kingdom of Ash to see what happens with Maeve. And it does give you a true idea of the order of events, but the tandem read can be very overwhelming. It's approximately a 1,200 page book if you do it, which is a lot. That is so much. It can be very easy to lose track of where you are in the tandem read as you go through the books because a lot is happening, you get sucked in, and it just continues on like that. So it's like you get to a certain point, it's great, you're in it, and then you have to go to another book. And then you have to come back, and you're not as in it, you're not as invested. And it's very hard, especially if you listen to audiobooks and if you listen to them at the cheetah speeds that I do, to go back and forth. A lot of people say to do the tandem read because the ending of Empire of Storms is so big, and you want to immediately go to Kingdom of Ash, and if you don't tandem read, you have to wait for a while to get to Kingdom of Ash. But, you know, it's pros and cons. It depends on what you want. It depends on if your brain can track and keep up and do all of that. So, I did the tandem read for the first big chunk. I think it was like the first 35 chapters of Tower of Dawn and the first 45 of Empire of Storm. I guess somewhere in that range for both of them. And then I was just like, I need to get this book done. I need to finish the series. I want to know what happens. I cannot finish reading this fast enough for my liking. So I went on Audible and I got the audiobooks. Excuse me. So when I was listening to them, I was not about to be going back and forth on the audiobooks. I do listen to them pretty quick. And so I ended with not doing the tandem read. I ended Empire of Storm. I ended Tower of Dawn. I went to Kingdom of Ash. And I recommend if you physically read them, either on an e-reader or the actual books, do the tandem read. I really enjoyed it that way. If you listen to them, just do one and then the other to save yourself a headache. Especially if you listen to them beyond 1x speed, it is a lot easier to just listen to one, listen to the other, and then go into Kingdom of Ash. So, now for the piece de resistance, we have Kingdom of Ash, the final book, the 980-page thick boy that brings everything to an end. Battles are fought, love is solidified, honor is finally given that Aelin has deserved for the past 5,000 pages, it feels like. This book, I have no words. This was I was very skeptical when everyone said that this was the most beautiful way to end the series. And SJM, I think, ended in the most perfect way possible. I laughed, I cried, I was kicking my feet in some spots. I have no other words to describe it. Aelin survives more than anyone should be able to, with the torture that Maeve and her minions put her through. She makes her way home. Rowan is home now. He is her home. Dorian learns his father's name. Yrene removes the Vogue parasites from Maeve. Erewhon is finished. The gate is sealed. The 13, minus Manon, end up sacrificing themselves. So 12 out of the 13 sacrifice themselves to defeat the witches. The other witches. The Krakens accept Manon as their queen. Aelin is officially crowned Queen of Terrasen. Everything ends with a happily ever after. This is how you end a series. It did not feel rushed. It did not leave questions or loose ends. It was done in such a fabulous way. It's no wonder SJM is the queen of fantasy in the modern era, and why this series has everybody in a chokehold. Like, it ends. Rowan and Aelin are married. They've been married, but they're married. She goes through the coronation to become the queen. The lords that were very against her, thinking she was just an immature child, finally understood and accepted her as theirs. And it was beautiful. It was so beautiful. And like, Alita and Lorcan ended up together, and Manon and Dorian, and Kael and Yrene, and they're pregnant, and Nesryn and Sartak, and he's the heir apparent for the Khagan, and so she's going with him to also help do whatever they're doing, and over there on the southern continent, and it is just chef's kiss. I love it. Pretty much everyone ends in royalty, which is also fun. It was the perfect way to end that series. So, final words. Now that all is said and done. All in all, this entire series was a beautiful masterpiece, and I wish I had started it sooner. I knew it was going to be an emotional damage, which is one of the reasons I procrastinated on it, but I am so happy I read it. I'm actually looking at it right now because it's right there over on my bookshelf. And I think everyone should read it at least once. It showcases the depth of emotions that one can feel, the resilience a person can hold, the strength of a found family, and the beauty of sacrificial love, but also the pain left behind from that sacrifice. That is why it's sacrifice. It costs you something, and it usually results in some form of pain. You grow with the characters, and they make you reevaluate your own life and shine a new perspective on things. Like when Kael was going through his healing, yes, it was physical from the Valg mark where he was struck by the literal demon, but it put into words sometimes how to fight the demons in our own head. Like, it feels like a literal fight. Like when Yrene finally figured out what to do, like how to fight this demon that had injured him, like the little remnants left behind. It was an amazing roller coaster, and I am so sad it's over. So sad. This was such a phenomenal book. So, at the beginning, I promised you a special announcement if you stuck around. So, I might be crazy, and I might be biting off more than I can chew, especially as a new content creator who has never done this before, has a full-time job and a life. But I'm finally, I know I've been talking about it, but I'm finally going to do a Throne of Glass deep dive series. So, the entire 7-book plus prequel series, starting with Throne of Glass itself. I'm so excited, and I cannot wait to jump back into this world with you as we break down the characters, the plot, and take the whole world to a new level of understanding. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. If you've made it thus far, please let me know in the comments your thoughts on the Throne of Glass series as a whole, and I would love to hear your opinions. Also, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you next time, book nerds. Have a fantastic day.